So the bike has clicked over 20,000 kilometres. It actually did that while we were out on the trip in the desert. I haven't ridden this bike much since then because I had the wheel bearing issue, and I've basically been riding my VFR800 and my cross tourer. Just a fantastic bike, I love that. I haven't actually done, apart from the time when I did the wheel bearing, and we're going to go and do that track because we were out this way when I blew the wheel bearing. Apart from that ride, I haven't actually been on this bike since, so it's clocked over 20,000 kilometres. Now we're going to do a 12-month, 20,000 kilometre review on the Honda CRF1000L Africa Twin. Alright, so let's just talk about why 12 months ago, a little over 12 months ago, about 14 months ago, I bought this bike. I'd had my eye on the Africa Twin since before they released it. Unfortunately, because of the earthquake in Fukushima or Nagasaki or wherever it was, the manufacturing plant and the production of this motorcycle got heavily disrupted. So there was a big period of 2016, 2017 where they didn't make these bikes. So they launched the bike, they sold like hotcakes, and then they couldn't bring any more into the country, and they couldn't bring any more around the world. So they caused quite a delay for Honda. But I tell you what, they've come back with a vengeance since they've been released. So during that period, I basically rode my 1200 cross tourer like a dirt bike, but I kind of realised there's limitations, because even though I had the XR650 as well, you know, the XR650 is a fantastic bike. It's a big thumper, it's not great on doing the long haul stuff. The Honda Cross Tourer 1200, VFR 1200X, is a fantastic long haul bike. And it's very, very capable off-road until you get into the deep, heavy, tight stuff where a smaller, lighter bike is more appropriate. So somewhere in the middle there was a need for me to have a bike that kind of filled that long haul capacity, heavy load carrying capacity, being able to do all roads, but when things got into, you know, more off-road situation, then it was able to continue on with that. So that's why the Africa Twin for me was so appealing. It was kind of like a big XR 650. So, you know, a big XR, but a small VFR, if that makes sense. A small long bike. So, and it's been perfect. I've got to tell you, the bike itself has been absolutely perfectly fit for purpose. It is a great big dirt bike that can carry big loads, long distances, and I've proven that. You know, I did that 1,000 kilometres in one day on the trip out to the desert. Rode across the desert, no problems, and you know, until you get into those areas where a smaller, lighter dirt bike is required, this is about as good as it gets. So, in terms of it meeting its design criteria and its capacity to do what I needed to do, it's a big tick, 10 out of 10, because it's absolutely perfect for what I needed to be. I want to talk about reliability over the 20,000 kilometres that I've done on this bike, and apart from these bits of bitumen where you've got to ride to where the dirt is, apart from this, almost everything on this bike's been off-road. So I'd say 80% of the kilometres I've done on this bike have actually been off-road. So, you know, that's really the reason I got it, was to be able to ride it to places where I can ride off-road. So it meets my purpose exactly. Now, if you're part of any of the Africa Twin groups, or if you're looking at buying this bike and you're looking for bad things to find about the negatives with this bike, and I'm talking about the 16-17 build, not so much the 18 build. This was Honda's first go at this bike, and you know, I've always been reluctant to buy the first of any model motorbike, just purely and simply because, not just motorbike, cars, jet skis, doesn't matter what it is. If it's new and it's a new platform, there are going to be teething problems. Now, there's no doubt that Honda built this bike down to a budget. You know, when they first brought this bike out, you could tell the materials that they'd use, I thought there was a car behind coming around. So Honda, there's no doubt that Honda built this bike to a budget. They wanted to bring this new bike in at a brand new bike, brand new design for, well, you know, I mean, the Africa Twin is a reincarnation, obviously, but, you know, for Honda to bring out a parallel twin 1000cc bike, they're obviously very clearly going after the KTM market. And boy, did they do that. I mean, this bike has been an absolute hit for Honda. This bike has just about sold everything on the market, which is a real testament to the marketing of Honda and, you know, people wanting a bike like this. So it's been a huge success. A lot of guys in Australia riding around on these, a lot of guys getting off their KTMs and BMWs because it is such a good bike. Cost of ownership of one of these is so much lower than it is on the European bikes. So that's kind of been a big thing for a lot of these guys, actually being able to get onto a bike. Relatively inexpensive to purchase. They're about $5,000 cheaper than the 1090R, and obviously about $25,000 cheaper than the BMW. If you're riding a big bike, that's great. If it's a BMW, that's cool too. You know, we'll still talk to you. Just, I don't like their engine. Everything else is fine, but let's not go there. That's not what this is about. So there are a few things that appeared very quickly in the forums and the different group, you know, Facebook groups and different forums, the Africa Twins groups that were set up, were a few things that were becoming apparent from people that were owning these and riding them off-road, but such little insignificant things. Let's just say that's insignificant's the best way to go. Now, things like corrosion on the spokes. Now, it's like, I'm kind of like, seriously, you know, if you're cleaning your bike to the level where you're actually checking your spokes. Anyway, there's things like some of the staunch and chrome wearing off the suspension, front suspension. Yep. The rims are pretty flimsy. I discovered that when I hit the Kangaroo and took it for the first trip out into the desert. So all those things are kind of like just little things, but they just a reflection of Honda's cost-saving sort of mindset in the development of this bike. Now, the build quality, apart from those components that are kind of low-end stuff, the build quality itself is fantastic. This is a classic Honda, high-quality fit and finish. The engine itself is magnificent. It's going to be a long-term, nice, long, reliable engine. It's a great bike. In terms of some of those things that are going wrong with the bike because of Honda's, you know, use of less expensive components, it hasn't actually really been that much of a thing for me, because you remember I hit that Kangaroo, so I replaced the front wheel with an XL rim and upgraded the hub, and when I did that I had heavy-duty spokes, 3mm spokes put on. I had the front suspension had to actually be done because there was some damage to the actual tubes, the suspension tubes, so I had them all replaced, and when they did that they replaced the fork seals, which is one of the other things that a few people are complaining about. The only thing I've had as an issue of this in terms of a mechanical breakdown is actually that rear wheel bearing. And as I said, most of the 20,000 kilometres that this bike has done have been off-road and fully loaded. You know, there's been a lot of weight on that rear wheel bearing, but again, lots of bikes out there doing that sort of stuff, and they go way more than 20,000 kilometres. So I've got new wheel bearings in the rear, I've got cush drive bearings, new cush drive bearings and wheel bearings in the rear. So that's it. Like, in terms of 12 months, 20,000 kilometres, apart from all the personalisation modifications that I've made to this bike, not only is it fit for purpose and perfect for what I want a bike to do, it's also extremely reliable, has just been faultless, you know, apart from those little things. So the only thing I've really done to this is just chain maintenance, change the tyres and put fuel in So that's it, 20,000 kilometres. Would I recommend another Africa Twin to anyone? Absolutely. So if you're in the market for a big adventure bike, one that's extremely capable, is a very, very good long haul machine. As I said, you know, I've done 1,000 kilometres in a day on this effortlessly, then backed it up with another 700 kilometres the next day. So can it cover long distances in a single bound? Absolutely. Is it any good off-road? Absolutely. That 21-inch front wheel and the suspension travel on this makes all the difference. So if you want a big bike to go adventuring on, the Africa Twin is damn near perfect.